That April jobs report shows 253,000 jobs added with an unemployment rate of 3.4%. For more on what these numbers tell us about the state of the economy, we're joined by President and CEO of the Job Creators Network, Alfredo Ortiz. Alfredo, thanks very much for joining us this afternoon.
Absolutely, Rich.
I want to get to the revisions in that jobs report.
Right.
One thing, you get that headline number, but it also goes back a couple of months and recalculates. It actually shows February was revised down 78,000 jobs from 326,000 to 248. March revised down from 71,000 jobs. So you take those 2 months, basically job growth was about 150,000 fewer jobs than we first thought. What does this all mean?
Yeah, well, again, thank you again for having me. When you look at those revisions, 150,000, we can probably expect that same kind of level revision, most likely going into these numbers as well. So not quite as rosy. And remember, too, that the jobs report really is not a leading indicator, but a lagging indicator. So it really doesn't tell us what people are looking forward to. So we have a monthly small business IQ poll that basically asks these questions of small business owners. What do you look like in terms of the future in hiring? And before, the number two concern was the actual availability of labor. That has actually dropped to number 4. Inflation is still number 1, but access to credit is number 2. And so I think what small businesses are basically saying is, we had a problem at the beginning of the year, we kind of dealt with it, and now we're just going to stay put with what we have because we don't know what the future is going to look like.
Yeah, we had a problem finding workers. Now we have a problem getting loans.
That's right.
It seems to be what they're
That's
saying.
right. And remember, 2/3 of new job growth is in the hands of small businesses. So when you have that kind of hesitation on the small business front, it doesn't bode well for the future of the economy in third quarter.
So the Fed is trying this balancing act. It wants to reduce inflation by cooling off the economy a little bit here. You still have some job growth. It's slowing. Is this what the Fed's looking for, slowing the economy without the bottom dropping out?
Well, unfortunately, they didn't have much of a choice this past year with a basically 5-point increase because they had to tackle inflation, which was basically out of control at historic highs. And so I think they were looking at trying to do a soft landing on this. Hopefully they do achieve a soft landing on this. But if we don't cut back the spending on a federal government standpoint, this is going to be a continuous concern. And so hopefully what the meeting on Tuesday between the president and McCarthy actually is a positive meeting. They walk out with some kind of an agreement, because even a $1.5 trillion increase is already way too much. But we have to do something, and we have to honor our debt. So.
Yeah, and the flip side of that conversation, this is all about raising the debt ceiling, which allows the United States to pay its bills, borrow money to pay its bills more accurately. How much of a risk does that pose to the economy?
Well, we know last time this conversation actually took place, there was a downgrade from the AAA to AA. So the risk there is, of course, higher interest rates. And we're already in a position where the higher interest rates are hurting, the average American, consumer loans, home loans, small business owners, for example.
And a concern about stagflation, maybe? I know it's a 70s throwback, but...
No. We've been calling that as a big concern of ours because we also are looking at the consumer. And even though, there's a lot of conversation where the White House is, hey, the consumer's doing great, man. I mean, look at the spending. Well, they're spending more, but they're getting less because of inflation. And when you look at the savings rates, it's at a record low, about 3%. When you look at credit card rate, it's at record highs. And so people are actually living on credit, almost like our federal government is right now.
Yeah. Alfredo Ortiz, the president and CEO of the Job Creators Network. Alfredo, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rich.